Come on along, join the caravan. Hear the stories and the songs from 100 different lands. We've got puppets, films and rhymes, tales from once upon a time. There's always a show, rain or shine, just look for the smiling caravan sign.
A story, a story. We do not really mean that what we are about to say is true. A story, a story. Let it come, let it go. Once, with small children round my knee, there were no stories on earth to hear. All the stories belonged to Knapp, the sky god. He kept them in a golden box next to his royal stool. And Nancy, the Spider-Man, wanted to buy the sky god's stories. So he spun a web up to the sky. When the sky god heard what Nancy wanted, he laughed. Chee, chee, chee. The price of my stories is that you bring me Osebo, the leopard of the terrible teeth, Mboro, the hornet who stings like fire, and Mwatia, the fairy whom men never see. And Nancy bowed and answered, I shall gladly pay the price. Uncle Sky God, how can a old man like you, so small, pay the price? And answered, you came to Oseb, the leopard of the terrible teeth. Oh, Nancy, slept. You were just in time to be my lunch. And Nancy replied, as for that, what will happen will happen. But first let us play the binding game. The leopard was fond of games asked, how is it played? With vine creepers, explained Nancy. I will bind you by your foot and foot. I will tie you, and you can tie me up. Very well, growled the leopard, who planned to eat Nancy as soon as it was his turn to bite him. With a said, or said, oh, you were the round of so calabash. Quick quickly stopped the mouth of the gourd. Now, Mufaro, you are ready to meet the sky god. Anansi now carved a little wooden doll holding a bowl. He covered the doll from top to bottom with sticky latex gum. Then he filled the doll's bowl with pounded yams. He set the little doll at the foot of a flamboyant tree where fairies like to dance. In a little while, Moatia, the fairy who no man sees, came dancing, dancing, dancing to the foot of the flamboyant tree. Moatia said, "Come, baby, I am hungry. May I eat some of your yams?" "Thank you, Gum Baby," said the fairy. "Don't you reply when I thank you?" cried the angry fairy. "Gum Baby, I'll slap your crying place unless you answer me." "Pah!" A hand stuck fast to the Gum Baby's sticky cheek. "Let go of my hand or I'll slap you again. Pah!" Now the fairy was stuck to the Gum Baby with both hands, and she was furious. She pushed against the doll with her feet, and they also stuck fast. Now Anansi came out of hiding. "You are ready to meet the sky god, Moatia." Anansi spun a web round Osebo, Mufaro, and Moatia. Then he spun a web up to the sky. "Oh, Niame," said Anansi, bowing low. "Here is the price you ask for your stories. Osebo, the leopard of the terrible teeth, the hornets who sting like fire, and Moa, the fairy who men never see. Little Anansi, the Spider-Man, has paid me the price I ask for his stories. Sing his praise, I command you." shouted all the assembled nobles. "From this day, going on forever," claimed the sky god, "my stories belong to Anansi and shall be called Spider Stories. So took the golden box of stories. When he opened the box, his third of the world, including my story, translated. If it's sweet,
Manyara and Nyasha. Everyone agreed that Manyara and Nyasha were very beautiful. Manyara was almost always in a bad temper. She teased her sister whenever their father's back was turned, and she had been heard to say, "Someday, Nyasha, I will be a queen, and you will be a servant in my household." "If that should come to pass," Nyasha responded, "I will be pleased to serve you. But why do you say such things? You are clever and strong and beautiful. Why are you so unhappy?" "Because everyone talks about how kind you are, and they praise everything you do," Manyara replied. "I'm certain that Father loves you best. But when I am a queen, everyone will know that your silly kindness is only weakness." Nyasha was sad that Manyara felt this way, but she ignored her sister's words and went about her chores. Nyasha kept a small plot of land on which she grew millet, sunflowers, yams, and vegetables. She always sang as she worked, and singing made her crops more bountiful than anyone else's. One day, Nyasha noticed a small garden snake resting beneath a yam vine. "Good day, Leo. Keep away any creatures who might spoil my vegetables." She bent forward, gave the little snake a loving pat on the head, and then returned to her work. That was all that Nyasha sighed when she tended her garden. It was said that she sang all the more sweetly when he was there. Mufaro knew nothing of Manyara to Nyasha. Nyasha was too considerate of her father to complain, and Manyara always careful to behave herself when Mufaro was around. Early one morning, a messenger from the city arrived. "Great wife, the most and beautiful daughters in the land here before the king. I'm queen," the messenger proclaimed. "Great honor have none of you, sir," he said. "Here your journey to sea will hold them. We will leave at the sun. For either of us to leave you, even to the king. Nyasha would grieve to death if she were parted from you. I am strong. Send me to the city and let poor Nyasha be happy here with you." Mufaro beamed with pride. "The king has asked for the most worthy and the most beautiful. No, Manyara, I cannot send you alone. Only a king can choose between two such worthy daughters. Both of you must go." That night, when everyone was asleep, Manyara stole quietly out of the village. She had never been in the forest at night before, and she was frightened. But her greed to be the first to appear before the king drove her on. In her hurry, she almost stumbled over a small boy who suddenly appeared standing in the path. "Please," said the boy, "I am hungry. Will you give me something to eat?" "I have brought only enough for myself," Manyara replied. "But please," said the boy, "I'm so very hungry." "Out of my way, boy. Tomorrow I will become your queen. How dare you a great distance, Manyara came to a small clearing. There, silhouetted against the moonlight, was an old woman seated on a large stone. The old woman spoke. I will give you some advice, Manyara. Soon after you pass the place where two paths cross, you will see a grove of trees. He will laugh. You will meet a man with his head under his arm. You must be polite to him. How do you my name? How dare you advise your future queen? Stand aside, you ugly old man, Manyara scolded, and rushed on her way without looking back. Just as the old woman had foretold, Manyara came over trees, and it didn't seem to be enough. I must be kind. Look at the trees. Sound of rushing water. Up here, the tears. There, she under his arm and passed him. She said to herself, I will be queen, I will be queen, she chanted as she hurried on toward the city. Nyasha woke at the first light of dawn. As she put on her finest garments, she thought how her life might be changed forever beyond this day. I'd much prefer to live here, she admitted to herself. I'd hate to leave this village and never see my father or sing to little New Yorker again. Her thoughts were interrupted by loud shouts and a commotion from the wedding party assembled outside. Manyara was missing. Everyone bustled about, searching and calling for her. When they found her footprints on the path that led to the city, they decided to go on as planned. As the wedding party moved through the forest, brightly plumed birds darted about in the cool green shadows beneath the trees. Though anxious about her sister, Nyasha was soon filled with excitement about all there was to see. They were deep in the forest when she saw the small boy standing by the side of the path. You must be hungry, she said, and handed him a yam she had brought for her lunch. The boy smiled and disappeared as quietly as he had come. Later, as they were approaching the place where the two paths crossed, the old woman appeared and silently pointed the way to the city. Nyasha thanked her and gave her a small pouch filled with sunflower seeds. The sun was high in the sky when the party came to the grove of towering trees. Their uppermost branches seemed to bow down to Nyasha as she passed beneath them. At last, someone announced that they were near their destination. Nyasha ran ahead and topped the rise before the others could catch up with her. She stood transfixed at her first sight of the city. Oh, my father, she called, a great spirit must stand guard here. Just look at what lies before us. I never in all my life dreamed there could be anything so beautiful. Arm in arm, Nyasha and her father descended the hill, crossed the river, and approached the city gate. Just as they entered through the great doors, the air was rent by piercing cries, and Manyara ran wildly out of her chamber at at the center of the enclosure. When she saw Nyasha, she fell upon her, sobbing. "Do not go to the king, my sister. Oh, please, father, do not let her go," she cried hysterically. "There's a great monster there, a snake with 5 heads. He said that he knew all my faults and that I displeased him. He would have swallowed me alive if I had not run. Oh, my sister, please do not go inside that place." It frightened Nyasha to see her sister so upset, but leaving her father to comfort Manyara, she bravely made her way to the chamber and opened the door. On the seat of the great chief's stool lay the little garden snake. Nyasha laughed with relief and joy. "My little friend," she exclaimed, "it's such a pleasure to see you, but why are you here?" "I am the king," Nyoka replied. And there, before Nyasha's eyes, the garden snake changed shape. "I am the king. I'm also the hungry boy with whom you shared a yam in the forest, and the old woman to whom you made a gift of sunflower seeds. But you know me best as Nyoka. Because I've been all of these, I know you to be the most worthy and most beautiful daughter in the land. It would make me very happy if you would be my wife." And so it was that a long time ago, Nyasha agreed to be married. The king's mother and sisters took Nyasha to their house, and the wedding preparations began. The best weavers in the land laid out their finest cloth for her wedding garments. Villagers from all around were invited to the celebration, and a great feast was held. Nyasha prepared the bread for the wedding feast from millet that had been brought from her village. Mufaro proclaimed to all who would hear him that he was the happiest father in all the land, for he was blessed with 2 beautiful and worthy daughters, Nyasha the queen and Manyara, a servant in the queen's household.
Why mosquitoes buzz in people's ears? Now, it was Mother Owl who woke the sun each day so that the dawn could come. One morning, a mosquito saw an iguana drinking at a water hole. "Iguana, you will never believe what I saw yesterday." "Try me," said the iguana. The mosquito said, "I saw a farmer digging yams that were almost as big as I am." "What's a mosquito compared to a yam?" snapped the iguana. "I would rather be deaf than listen to such nonsense." Then he stuck 2 sticks in his ears and went off, meck, 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 through the reeds. The iguana was still grumbling to himself when he happened to pass by a python. "Good morning, iguana." The iguana did not answer, but lumbered on. "Baramin, baramin." "Now, why won't he speak to me?" said the python to himself. "I'm afraid he is plotting some mischief against me." He began looking for somewhere to hide. The first likely place he found was a rabbit hole, and in it he went, wassoo, woosoo, wassoo, woosoo. When the rabbit saw the big snake coming into her burrow, she was terrified. She scurried out through her back way and bounded crick, crick, crick across a clearing. A crow saw the rabbit running for her life. It was his duty to spread the alarm in case of danger. A monkey heard the crow. He was sure that some dangerous beast was prowling near. As the monkey was crashing through the treetops, he happened to land on a dead limb. It broke and fell on an owl nest, killing one of the owlets. When the owl returned to the nest, she found one of them dead. Her other children told her that the monkey had killed her. All that night, she sat in her tree, so sad, so sad, so sad. When she hooted for the sun, she did not do it. The night grew longer and longer. The animal forest was lasting much too long. They feared the sun would never come back. At last, King Lion called a meeting of the animals. They came and sat down. Bim, 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 around the council fire. King Lion asked, "Mother Owl, why have you not called the sun?" The night had lasted long, 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 and the monkey killed my owlets. Can bear to wake the sun. So it was the monkey who killed the owlet, and now Mother Owl wakes the sun so that the day can come. Then the King Lion called the monkey. "Monkey," said the king, "who killed one of the owls?" "Oh," said the monkey, "it was on a tree." King said to the council, "So it was who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now monkey so that the sun can come." The king called he said, "Run for our life at the time. Wasn't that when an alarm?" King nodded to the council. It was the rabbit who startled the crow, who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now the owl won't wake the sun so that the day can come. "Rabbit," cried the king, "why did you break a law of nature and go running, running, running in the daytime?" "Oh, king," said the rabbit, "it was the python's fault. I was in my house minding my own business when that big snake came in and chased me out." The king said to the council, "So it was the python who scared the rabbit, who startled the crow, who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now Mother Owl won't wake the sun so that the day can come." King Lion called the python, who came slithering wassoo, woosoo, wassoo, woosoo, wassoo, woosoo past the other animals. "But, king," he cried, "it was the iguana's fault. He wouldn't speak to me, and I thought he was plotting some mischief against me. When I crawled into the rabbit's hole, I was only trying to hide." The king said to the council, "So it was the iguana who frightened the python, who scared the rabbit, who startled the crow, who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now Mother Owl won't wake the sun so that the day can come." Now the iguana was not at the meeting, for he had not heard the summons. The antelope was sent to fetch him. All the animals laughed when they saw the iguana coming, butterman, butterman, with his sticks still stuck in his ears. King Lion pulled out the sticks. Purrup, purrup. Iguana, what evil have you been plotting against the python? None. None at all, cried the iguana. Python is my friend. Then why wouldn't you say good morning to me? Demanded the snake. I didn't hear you. Mosquito told me such a big lie I couldn't bear to listen to it, so I put sticks in my ears. Laughed the lion. So that's why you had sticks in your ears. Yes, said the iguana. It was the mosquito's fault. King Lion said to the council, so it was the mosquito who annoyed the iguana, who frightened the python, who scared the rabbit, who startled the crow, who alarmed the monkey, who killed the owlet, and now Mother Owl won't wake the sun so that the day can come. Punish the mosquito, cried all the animals. When Mother Owl heard that, she was satisfied. She turned her head toward the east and hooted, Meanwhile, the mosquito had listened to it all from a nearby bush. She crept under a curly leaf, sing, and was never found and brought before the council. But because of this, the mosquito has a guilty conscience. To this day, she goes about whining in people's ears. Is everyone still angry at me? When she does that, she gets an honest answer. Kapow!
The village of round and square houses. This village really exists, just the way it always has, in the remote hills of Central Africa. It was not until I was almost full grown and left my village that I found our village was like no other. For the men live in square houses and the women in round ones. To me, this seemed the natural order of things. But what is it like, you ask? I will tell you how it was and is for me. I grew up on my grandmother's farm in the village of Tos that lies at the foot of Naka Mountain in the Bamani Hills of West Africa. We planted yams and corn and tobacco and the finest coffee grown in the Cameroons. Our village was always happy and peaceful, a good place for any boy or girl. Every evening after a day of work in the fields, Uncle Domo and Grandpa Oma came to our round house. We children hurried to put out the low wooden stool for Grandpa Oma, for he was the eldest and closest to the ancestor spirits. Then we would unroll the grass mat for Uncle Domo, next oldest, as was only proper and respectful. There they would sit proudly in their bright robes, Grandpa Oma above, seated on his stool, hands on knees, seated below. Then he would ask us children, one by one would come forward bowl to wash the ends before smelling, and I would come in last, bearing the fufu. Grandpa, as the eldest, would always eat first, dipping the first 3 fingers of one hand into the fufu, scooping up a small portion, which he dipped quickly into the stew bowl to flavor each bite with the spicy meat and juices. Then, in order of age, Grandma, Uncle Domo, and sometimes Mama, if she left the cook fire, would finish their meal in the same way. And we children would follow last, making sure to leave the bowl clean. After supper, when the men went back to their square house to smoke and talk of farming and fishing and the old days of the hunt, Grandpa would leave some tobacco for Grandma. He knew she'd like to smoke it later, when everything was peaceful. Then she would sit alone in the moonlight, looking up at the dark slope of Naka Mountain rising high above. I remember one night I sat beside her. Grandma Tika took a last puff on her pipe, then pointed with it to the sky above our village. You see old Mother Naka smoking so peacefully there. I leaned way back and looked up to see old Naka's breath, rising in lazy puffs of smoke, soft and gray in the night sky. And you remember that sometimes in the night we hear old Naka snoring in her sleep? I nodded, pleased that Grandma felt I was old enough to notice such things. Well, it is by these signs that we know she is content. Now we live in peace with Naka and the spirits of our ancestors. But it was not always so. Grandma fixed me with a stare and began to rock with the tale, for she was the best storyteller in the whole village. In the days of long, long ago, the people of this village lived in houses of any sort, either square or round, it did not matter. Then, one peaceful night, before anyone alive remembers, old Naka began to groan and rumble and awoke from a long sleep. The villagers were frightened and ran out of their houses and hid in the bushes at the foot of the mountain. A great wind came up, and the ancestor spirits in the trees cried out to warn them. Even the rocks began to tremble. Suddenly, the black night was split like a coconut, and a rose like the sun. Then the voice of our mother, Naka, thundered out over all. Boom, boom, ba-boom. And the people cried out to Naka and prayed where they were lying down, and pressing the earth, asking, "What we done, Moose? You?" All through the night, old Naka spoke with them, shouting her anger to the skies as red rivers flowed down her sides. The morning sun rose, but no one could see him. The anger of Naka was too great, and ash and smoke filled the air. No one when spoke no. Slowly, people lifted their heads their home. When they came to the village, were standing one square, one was it a sign? But the village chief had no time for such questions, and he called them together. We must begin to rebuild our village now. He pointed to the ash-covered people. You, tall, gray things, you go live in the square house. And you, round gray things, go live in the round house. And you, small gray things over there, you go pick the small gray stones out of the fields so we can plant our crops again. And so it was done. The women lived in the round house with the children, and the women talked and laughed, preparing food for everyone. The men stayed in the square house and told each other tall stories and planted yams and corn each day in the new rich soil. And the children made a game out of clearing the fields of small gray stones and went swimming and fishing in the long afternoons. And no one forgot to thank Naka for sparing their lives and giving them back such fine crops from her good earth. Grandma smiled down at me. And so you see it has been to this day, for the women have decided they enjoy getting together to talk and to laugh and to sing. And the men have become used to being together and relaxing in their own place. And the children? Osa, is it not true the children still keep the fields clear of little gray stones? Yes, I laughed, and we still swim and play in the afternoon. But we bring home the fish we catch for supper, and we all get together then.